Let's just start. I think Brahim is just in his way. It's just trying to connect. I want to welcome everybody. First, I start with the speakers who accepted to join us despite their busy schedules. I would like to welcome Leila Talhoui. I hope I pronounced it correctly, who is, I think, joining from Paris.
Exactly.
I would also like to say a big welcome to Chaymaa Ramzy, who is not far from me, just few minutes from where I am now, who's joining from Alexandria. And I guess you guessed I'm in Alexandria too. And our third lady on the panel, Salama, who is joining from Cairo. And then we will have later, I hope in a few minutes, the only male actually in this panel, he's a minority here, BRAHIM al-MAZNED, will be joining from Morocco. You respectively represent different art forms, different, institutions or organization operating in the cultural creative industries in the region. And let's say in the Euromed now, because we have Leila with us, so we are in the Euromed space. I would like to very quickly give you the floor to start presenting yourself, and we can start the conversation of this panel, which is about debating and sharing with the audience what are the disenablers, it's a bit hard to pronounce, but say the barriers to thriving and developing positive ecosystems that support the growth and the development of cultural creative industries in our region. So before we get into the topic, I'd like to start with Leila. Since you are the first, we are a majority together here, girls from Egypt. So Leila, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be with you today. So yes, I'm Leila Talhoui, born in Paris, but I'm Moroccan from the area near Oujda, so East Morocco. And I'm an artist, so I'm a choreographer and dancer. My artist name is Saleh. And I'm the creator and director of Kif-Kif Bledi dance group. So it's a dance group based in Paris with 7 dancers. We are from Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Lebanon, and Senegal. And we work hard to promote traditional dances. I'm also an activist for Amazigh culture. So working through Europe, but also a lot in Morocco, and also abroad, like in the USA. And so as a dance group based in France, the traditional structure is an organization, but 2 years ago, we decided to create a CCI, so a company named Kif-Kif Bledi Prod. And we decided also to open our own cultural center in Paris, and to create gaps within our countries of origin. And to conclude, I'm also a speaker. I had the privilege to give a TEDx speech about Amazigh culture and jewelry, because I'm like a fan of old jewelry. And I use this to make connection, especially for diaspora people and women based in Europe, to reconnect with their roots. And in my previous life, I was engineer in investment banking, and I'm also executive coach. So a lot of jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leila. Chaymaa, dear Chaymaa, Shelter.
Thank you so much, Ouafa. Interesting, Leila. I love Kif-Kif Bledi. So yes, I'm Chaymaa Ramzy, and I'm the co-founder and the executive director of Shelter Art Space in Alexandria. And it's a place that brings a little bit the historic value of the city. The space itself was a bunker from the Second World War, and we transformed it into a safe place for many young artists in the city and also from Egypt. We mainly work on continuous capacity building for young artists in contemporary art. Myself also, I consider myself as a creative entrepreneur. Well, Shelter also is created as an independent company based on creative industries ecosystem player, as an intermediary and a DSO. and I'm very much interested also in culture policies. So this is in brief. Do you want me to give a little bit more about shelter, or this is enough, Ouafa, for now?
I think for now enough. We'll have a chance to elaborate on our work related to the question. Thank you so much. May, we're leaving BRAHIM MAZNED to the end.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me. Great, honestly, great to learn more about Leila and Chaymaa. Chaymaa and I connected briefly, and looking forward to hear what Ibrahim has to say. I'm here today to represent the Creative Industry Summit, which is a body that was brought to life 10 years ago. We're celebrating 10 this year. And we started off as just a conference that connects and inspires and educates the creative industries. And we grew into a whole body that is trying to focus more on the development of the human capital. We have created a lot of products in this area. So we have educational programs, we have alliances with universities, we have mentorship programs, as well as, of course, the festivals, the parties, and the fun part that really connects people physically, many people. And we most recently created and developed an award show that is people-based, based on voting, just to celebrate the creative economies of the month of Ramadan, which is the Super Bowl of the Middle East. And so we celebrate anything and everything that contributes to growing the economy of the sector of the creative industries within this month. So developing TV shows or songs or ads or the hard work of so many people. Having said that, we believe that we have created a space where anybody and everybody can really come to the stage or have a round table or find a way to voice themselves without feeling that this space belongs to one specific entity or one specific person. It was a very hard challenge in the beginning to really build something neutral. And we're always fighting our own selves to make sure that our voices are not in it. It is for everyone, by everyone. So constantly reminding ourselves of that. But if anything, I'd like to believe we have reached that. And we're working really hard to try and maintain it, always putting ourselves in place. We have a following base from, I believe, over 18 countries. And we've hosted some of the greatest names from all over the world, who I have to say have opted to believe in this platform, whether who joined us to talk or to educate or to find a way in changing someone's life. And when I say opted to believe, they actually join us and come and roll their sleeves up and do anything to help. And that's it. So I mean, I can go on forever. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We are in family. So we feel you. We have the same tendency when we start talking about art. Nobody can stop. So feel free. Don't feel guilty. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much, May.
Thank you.
The only male panel. Yalla, defend your gent.
Thank you, Ouafa. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to join you. Thank you for inviting me to join this session. So I'm Brahim MAZNED. I work in the music industry for more than 20 years. I start with Timita Festival 20 years ago, which is a big festival based in Agadir, held in the summer, where we invite every year more than 300 artists. And later, 10 years ago, I start another event which is focusing on African and MENA region music, which is a showcase and music conference and festival. It happened in November, the third week of November every year. The idea is to organize showcases, workshops, speed datings, meetings, networking. It's we received every year more than 1,000 to 1,200 people to join the visa for music to showcases. So we have artists, bookers, managers, artistic directors. So, and we received every year more than 1,500 application from almost 100 countries around the world. So it's one of the probably important forum linked to music in our region. I also work. I also organize another event linked to the Amazigh New Year. So we just happened 2 weeks ago when we received. We had hundreds of artists participate to this event in Agadir, and also I'm fascinated by the music, Moroccan music heritage. So I made 2 publications, one linked to the anthology of Laita, and another one is the anthology of the Amazigh music Ruwais. They get the prize Académie Charles Cros, and that's it. I do many other things, but anyway, it's always linked to the music.
Thank you, Brahim. Thank you very much. We're very, very honored to have you. Thank you for your time. I know you're a super busy man, and we appreciate your presence with us. So before I just take time to introduce also myself. My name is Ouafa Belgacem, as I'm Tunisian French, but for now I'm based in Egypt, but I'm the founder of Culture Funding Watch, which is, we actually almost like you, Maya, we are almost 10 years of existence, but we work mainly on access to finance for culture creative industries. So we support through capacity building, through training, we work with incubators, we all work with the universities on those skills. We also support artists and creative, develop their business model, their financial strategies. And we also mainly we work on advocacy and influencing, which is my favorite part of my work. We do believe that the change for culture creative industries in our region will come from systematic change. And the solution to access to finance is to make sure that our ecosystems are financially friendly for culture creative industries. And for that to be viable and friendly, we need to create local funding systems, and player and stakeholder. So this is a very long underground and visible work we do. It's like we are like a lobbying agency that nobody sees, but we are everywhere, bringing the donor, talking to the donor, targeting philanthropists. And so one of our flagship activities related to influencing is the RMD, the Resource Mobilization Digithon, which is kind of a creative summit, but between funder, investors, incubators, and entrepreneur, creative, and actor. It's all about access to finance and access to information. We do, of course, research because that's the tool we use to implement evidence-based advocacy and advise and public financial policies for culture creative industries in the region. Beside that, I'm part from the UNESCO expert facility. I do so many crazy other things, which I love. And that's enough about me. So today, with this very impressive panel of experts, we're going to talk about what is harming or preventing our ecosystem to become enabler for culture creative industry. So my first question to you, my panel fellows, what is, according to your experience and your own ecosystem, the number one disenabler for you? If you have to rank and pick one, only one, you would tell me it's this one. Please explain it to us and tell us what would be your open solution for it. I will start with Leila.
Yes, with pleasure. That's a hard question to pick up just one, because I expect we have a lot, but I will choose one and explain to my opinion why it's the main.
Exactly.
So
sorry, just
yes.
We would really love to hear from your analysis for what are the root causes. Exactly. At this stage, the question is, what's the number one, and what is, along your experience, the real root cause of that problem?
Okay, sure. So I will say, like I can imagine like other creators and artists like me, that it's about grants and funds to have, especially in my specialty, which is dance. So I have several explanations. First, dance in MENA countries are not considered as a real job. I mean, traditional dances. That's what I'm working on, and especially about women dancing. We know that we have the reputation, especially due to colonization, cabaret, and stuff like this, that stayed a little bit in the mindset. So as a choreographer, as a woman, that's sometimes difficult to be seen as a professional, and then to have some grants to be affected. Also, as I'm a representative of diaspora here, because I have double citizenship, Moroccan and French, people of diaspora, they don't like enter in one country, and sometimes it's difficult. Maybe we can, through our dances, because we represent Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Lebanon, apply to some grants, but we have to be based in our original country. And on the other hand, in France, we don't exist. That's why I created Kif-Kif Bledi 7 years ago. We see the whole scene of dance taken by contemporary dance. It starts with hip hop, but all the other dances, they are flagged as a world dance, like Indian dance, etc. And people, they flag us as belly dance. So that's, as I often say, an Orientalist dance. I respect people practicing it, but that's not my grandmother's dance. Okay, I don't dance the belly necked. That's another culture that has another story than traditional dances, especially Amazigh dances I worked on. So that's two different fields. And to finish, because I want also to hear my colleagues about this lack of representation and models, because it's a new way of cultural jobs and professionalization. The personal issue we encounter in France is, to be clear, discrimination, because we have been rejected from some projects, clearly because the North African dances are not professional enough. So we have to prove that we have a company, that I have some strong skills, because I entered in the conservatoire when I was young, the Centre National de la Danse. So I have some skills as choreographer also. And recently, that's more like to talk about that. Last week, we have been, unfortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know, how to say, somebody who is from far right, the most, let's say, famous far right politician in France, who is Éric Zemmour, quoted Kif-Kif Bledi on a TV interview as something dangerous, because it's not culture, it's not French culture. We have to stop foreign cultures, and it's Maghreb that is talking to Maghreb. So after that, we have been attacked on social medias. So it was very, very harmful, and putting all people from North Africa as dangerous people who do not respect the culture in the country they live in. So hopefully we had a lot of support, but that can be very dangerous. And the aim of Kif-Kif Bledi is very different. It's to open internationally, and hopefully we manage that. But it's the big barriers we have through my project.
Very, very, very shocking information you shared with us. It's, well, where the world is going now. luckily we're still here and will not move. We're here, the art people, and we'll keep nagging you, backing you, annoying every single extremist in this world. So keep doing what you're doing, Leila. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for the support.
You're welcome. Brahim, please.
Well, from my side, I think that the development of CCIs cannot be achieved without the human factor. So there is an issue with the training and development of capacity. So with a gap between the skills offered and the needs of the cultural market. Additionally, collaboration between higher education institutions and the labor market as the cultural sector is insufficient. And we feel that with now, because today, I think the public authorities, they start to be awareness of the importance of CCI. But if we don't have but without professionals, we cannot go ahead. So I can also talk about other suggestions, but you ask us to give just one. But so for me, development of capacity, especially for young, this sector is very attractive for young young generation. So that's why it's very important to put the development of the capacity in the center of the suggestions, I think.
Thank you, Brahim. May.
Hello. So there's, like Leila said, there are so many variables. However, I will thank you for saying the investment and funding, because that was like my big in red neon number one. Thank you for existing. Thank you for noticing it and working on that massive and crucial element. So I will not talk about that. I will talk about, if I may choose just one, I would say lack of infrastructure. And the lack of infrastructure is as important because you invest a lot of money and a lot of time either building a space or building a venue or trying to educate someone, because education falls under infrastructure. Regulations and associations fall under infrastructure. So the very fact that the CCIs and this area of business is not really acknowledged by many important areas or bodies or entities that should acknowledge it does not give it the support. Therefore, in order for me to, for example, host a workshop, to find the right space that will accommodate the people for it to be an experiential workshop takes more time than it was if there was an infrastructure. If there was an association, then people would be held accountable. Then we would all work towards better quality. If there was proper education, human capacity, then we would all be able to, take this industry forward. And therefore, the lack of infrastructure, I could go on forever. I know I have 1 minute, so I will leave it at lack of...
the opposite. Here, please elaborate. Don't hesitate to elaborate, please.
Okay, so for me, I will use examples, okay? Trying to build, for example, a full-on festival experience. For me to build a full-on festival experience where people can actually learn or sit in round tables where we can come up with defined resolutions to help and take forward, or for people to have entertainment or just watch a stage, that is not something easy. You spend, aside from the time you spend to find a venue that might eventually work, you spend weeks building the venue from the bottom up. You don't have electricity, you don't have water, you don't have stages, you don't have crew to clean, you don't have anything. So we don't have venues, we don't have associations that support this business. We don't have, there's, unfortunately, if I may say, there's no real belief in the value of the CCIs, when in reality, this area and the CCIs are what makes economies thrive and makes countries go forward. And it is the one business, if you look around, that really brings people together, that does not divide people. And if we invest more time in building the right infrastructure, investing in the right infrastructure, I think really the world will become then a one city or
yeah. Can you explain what do you mean by infrastructure? Like, can you tell?
Yes.
Is there specific like type of infrastructure that you would put in priority more than others?
Yeah, I would, first of all, I would talk about an entity that would support our businesses, an entity that we can go to where we can become legit business. For example, for an event management company or a dance studio or whatever to be licensed. Okay, so that's one, licensing. So when we're doing business, we're doing it right. We're not just giving out anything and everything. This is one. Two, infrastructure as in venues, spaces, areas that support us to actually help us in, by the way, minimizing the investment. If I go into a white canvas space and I build a festival or I build a concert or I build a dance performance, if the space is ready, then that cuts off at least 50% of the budget I'm spending on it. And that is a massive element in the infrastructure. Ticketing systems, you name it. I mean, associations. You know where to go, who to talk to. So without mentioning other countries or other nations, I'm speaking in another country very soon, and I actually have to apply for a speaking license. And this is one of the elements of the infrastructure. I have to work towards gaining my space on stage. And that's just a tiny element in that, if I may say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Chaymaa, the floor is yours.
Just one comment, Ouafa, if possible. Hala Shakshir has also asked to answer to this question. She is one of the entrepreneurs of CREACT4MED from Palestine. I'm sure that she has many interesting things to say. So whenever you can, just give her the floor, okay? Thank you. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Hola, Maria. So thank you very much, everyone. I think I share everything of what you said. I come from the same country as Mai, so probably when I saw the questions of Ouafa, I thought about Egypt. And I know I'm glad that what I'm going to share is not a little, yeah, is partially shared with Tunisia and Morocco and also with Palestine. So one of the main concerns, our concern in finance has been solved. So my space is based on individual giving of investors. It's 100% Egyptian money. So I solved the issue of Ouafa of localization, and this was something, a dream that I had 5 years ago, to count on 100 Egyptian Alexandrian money, if I have to say. I knew the challenge of Mai, so also we created a multi-purpose space. We built it from scratch. It has everything that's really, yeah, that and the price is that we really don't go out of our space easily. I mean, we have it all in at shelter, and I'm very proud that we built this 300 square meter. Now we have over 1,000 square meter. We're extending to Cairo. So I know these elements have been my challenge for so many years, but actually by building the space, we found out another challenge that is actually the main element of the CCIs in Egypt. And I'm happy that the Creative Summit is one of the outlet that recently is adding really big voice to the sector in the country. But also, I always say that the main problems of Egypt is not just the infrastructure, but also is that Egypt is hosting and loudly speaking about a consumption-based strategy rather on a production-based strategy. And consumption-based strategy is that Egypt is encouraging us to do few days event, large scale, hit and run, show the things that is actually on light. And the thing is that deep inside we know that we want this consumption-based strategy, but without a production-based strategy, where, as Ibrahim said, working on the capacity building of the human capital in the creative industries, putting this shift that I always speak about, is that we have this transition between arts and culture. I think me and Leila and Ibrahim, we were somehow 10 years ago linked to the arts and culture, and now we found ourselves in the CCIs, and we have to speak different languages. We have to speak business and operating models. I was one of the privileged people in Egypt that I had my education in the US, but I also tend to work a lot with local communities who have public education. And in the creative and in the contemporary art scene, discussing with an artist operating model and business valuation and equity investment is not always the best case. So we are playing also this small role as an intermediary and as a BSO for contemporary individual artists. So, but again, I always go back to this challenge that yes, it is not just capacity building, but it is how, and I also one of the people who believes that the state private partnership in Egypt is doing great, and I think there should be more of this. And I think there should be more also that the state private and the actor partnership should be valorized. I always encourage and advocate for that. So this would be one of my disenabler, because I can't find the artists, those who come from local community, because my program is very inclusive. I don't comply a little bit to the exclusivity of also what Egypt is promoting for. And actually it is one of the things that this challenge that I have every day, whether to apply what I learned or whether to follow the trend that the country is following on. So there is this resistance between, we do very slow cooked art programming, we really talk to artists, we spend days, we have a program called Safe Circle with women in the art, and we really take our time to do this. While for them, the success indicator is quick showcasing, having so many followers, gaining a lot of money, and being linked to the art market. So we are in between these two worlds, and we are trying to keep the pace of the everyday and the trend, but also we never forget that we are humans, we work with human artists, and we are extremely slow in cooking things. So consumption-based strategy we need it, but we need to fortify it with a production-based strategy. This is my main focus.
Thank you so much, Chaymaa. Before I give the floor to Hala from the audience who wanted also to share, I want also to share my perspective. For me, it's also the need that we have an ecosystem-based approach. Like, we need to think of our ecosystem as a target itself, to become an ecosystem that has all the ingredients that needs, that it has all the stakeholder that needs, and that it has all the means that needs. And the thing is, I interpret everything from my funding perspective, because that's my expertise. And the thing is also related to the mechanisms and financial systems that are there. If they are always project-based, we're not getting out from that cycle. We're finding it's very hard. We'll find it always hard to move to the ecosystem approach. And then you can see it. And that's what I call it smart financial strategies for cultural policies. Most of our cultural policies are more into, not with this smart, like looking, usually they have like need-based approach rather than ecosystem-based approach. So we see, okay, I need to put a little bit here because we need to finance artist creation, we need to do some infrastructure. But usually, I'm not saying that's the case everywhere, there is not these lenses of looking of where are the gaps. and what are the financial flows that are available. So I am the local funder or the local government work where there is none to support. And usually where there is no fund to support are the core sustainability ecosystem pillars, where you will not fund an external funder to fund like pure infrastructure, where you will not fund to like advocacy, research, or when you don't fund influencing. This where our local and smart, what I mean by smart financial policies, should be towards that. They said, okay, nobody will fund, like for example, functional cost for a very important independent art space, because no grant maker or no investor is happy to finance that. So we would look at that and see how can we create smart mechanisms that, because that's the viability of your different art spaces and your activity depends on the capability and availability of support where there is no interest in it from external, or other spaces. So this is also, for me, this is really one real barrier, and the core reason is this lack of ecosystem approaching financial cultural policies. May you want to react to that?
Yes, please. I actually think Chaymaa is very lucky, and you have a great platform, to be honest. And the very fact that you have your space in Alex that is super exciting, is coming to Cairo, says a lot. And that's what brings me back to, I agree with everything you said, but it becomes less more consumption when we actually have the spaces like your space, the bigger spaces that can take big and small, where anybody who wants to do anything does not have to worry about the cost of building something. And that's where it becomes less consumption. That's where and that's why I keep focusing. If it's not investment, then it's infrastructure. Because if I have the spaces, then I just need to worry about my performance or my concert or my event, or I just don't need to worry about how am I going to put this together? How am I going to get the money? If I may use a very sad example, there was going to be a massive concert by the Pyramids last year, and it was going to be the first time for the Italian opera to leave Italy and come and perform in Cairo in front of the Pyramids. And I mean, all of us, the event industry people, got together because our colleague who had put in all the money, and we're talking a lot of millions, to put together the stage by the Pyramids and build the infrastructure by the Pyramids for that stage, and it was canceled due to the war 3 days prior to the event, and he had paid all the money. If this was a pre-existing venue, he would not have lost the amount of millions, the immense number of millions that he lost. And that's why the term infrastructure breaks my heart, honestly.
Thank you. So it was Hala, please.
Hello everyone. It's very nice to meet you and to be part of this conversation. My name is Hala Shekhshir, and I am a general manager and a co-founder of Askadar for Culture and Art. We're based in a city called Nablus in Palestine. And this question is very interesting and exciting for us. And I have several answers for this problem. First of it, that there is no space in the government to recognize us. So we have a social enterprise. We registered in Palestine as a company. We agreed, me and my team, we decided to do a social enterprise, a company registration, because we knew that to do an organization or a frame that is depending on the international fund is not sustainable, because we've all have experience in working in institutions and NGOs who was fully based and independent and dependent on international donations, and they closed because it's not sustainable. So when we did this Askadar 7 years ago, we all agreed that we want to be self-sustained, and we did. Now you see those, let's say, funds and donors, international donors, they all the time encourage young artists to be self-sustained. But when there is a call for proposal, there is no place for a social enterprise. There is no place for for-profit company. So the government, they don't recognize us, and the international donations, they don't recognize us. First of all, talking about the government, the Ministry of Culture and Art in Palestine, they refuses to register Askadar, because there is no place in the documents of the law, of the Palestinian law, that have any definition for a culture and art company. Culture and art means NGOs. So there is no place for for-profit projects. So 7 years until now, we've been with no registration but the Ministry of Economics, because we're a company. But we can't define ourselves there. Yani, we're not a supermarket, and we don't sell goods and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. And this, let's say, missing in regulations and laws, it affects the company very bad. I'll tell you a story that happens with us last year in Askadar. So we've been working in dance, culture and art activities, music activities for kids and teens for 7 years now, and we've built a very good reputation in the city of Nablus that families trust us to do educational art programs for the kids through schools, academic years, schools, and summer schools. Last year, we get officers from the government checking us in Askadar and asking about, like, they came to Askadar to check if we can be good enough to be an NGO. And me, as the general manager, I met them in my office, and I said clearly that I didn't apply to be an NGO company, to be an NGO organization. And then we discovered, me and those officers, that there was a lady trying to steal our name. 7 years of reputation, 7 years of hard work, and then there is this artist who decided to take Askadar's name. And she could do that because there is no regulation to stop her, because I'm not fully registered. Yeah. So this is really bad. We've been working very hard together for all of these years, and then there is somebody who can, out of the blue, thinking about taking our name, put Askadar's name on a new NGO, and taking fund and donations under the umbrella of our name, under the umbrella of our hard work.
Yeah, Helen, we got the point, because we need to give the space to the question. So if I summarize, you're here referring to one problem related to the legal framework. So there is, like, one is Disenabler, in your experience, is the legal framework that refers both to the classification and categorization of businesses, but also of protection of intellectual property and those things. So thank you so much for your contribution, which leads me to the next question, and I go back to the same round of speakers. Leila, can you, back to what you have identified as your number one disenabler, what if you were the minister of the world, what would be your first reform you would take to solve that problem, to try to address that disenabler?
Wow, Ministry of the World, that's a big responsibility. Thank you. Let's dream. Yes, I think that it would be to reference traditional dances of MENA area. I would like to see people knowing and referencing to Ahwash, Gidrar, Geda, Kabil dance, Naili, Al-Fazzani, Dabka, all these dances that we practice and we perform with our company, because the most important to know is that you all know these are social dances. Some are tribal dances. The tribes are little by little disappearing. I'm from an Amazigh tribe that is, for different reasons, disappearing little by little, and social events are disappearing. Hopefully we still marry and dance, but the only way to dance and to perform are through the music and through the chants and through musicians. So we live thanks to those festivals and Tabarakallah, let's see, BRAHIM, like Visa for Music, etc. Thanks to the musicians, we can dance. And this is how we perform with Kif-Kif Bledi, but we managed to be hired as professional to perform in theaters. And this is something new, especially for diaspora. This is something that has been developed in Tunisia and Algeria through le ballet algérien that performed in Canada, for example, le ballet tunisien that is very known. In Morocco, we don't have like a ballet, but we have like La Troupe Banana, some crews, and especially traditional local groups. I can give an example of, as I'm from Oujda, I'm an expert in Rgada, that is male dance, but that's my expertise. I asked and went to Morocco to documentate Rgada with a UK team. And we asked all traditional group from Berken, from all small cities around Oujda, what do you want as a living, as an artist? And they said, we want to be recognized as artists because we are only, for some of us, dancers, and we are not recognized enough. We are like part of an artist group that is mixing music and instruments, and we don't have like medical insurance. We worked all our life hard, and I was very shocked because they were like 60 years old, and they told me, we are not going to transmit our culture, our art to our children because we don't want them to live our lives. Look at us, we are old now and we don't have any money, we don't have any recognition. So we want them to study and not to do Rgeda. And I was very, very sad of that. So if we help people from all over the world who are cultural keepers, especially in my field that is dance, to be seen as professional and not only as entertainment and social dances and hey, we dance with your sister or what, to see choreographers. But I will just make like a warning that is happening currently in France, I'm involved in, no diplomas. We cannot impose diplomas for traditional dances and dancers because we are going to lose all the social link. And it is what is happening now in France. They want to impose, like the law is called Loi 1149. They want to impose for hip hop dancers and to extend this law to traditional dances. And if you don't have 3 years of training from I don't know who, you will lose your status as dance teacher and you will pay 15,000 euros. And you have to close your studio. So you see, it's very tricky because we are not seen as professional, and in Europe they want to impose like a diploma, and in our origin countries we are not seen as professional also. So for me it's the first step, and we have to go beyond UNESCO, because for now the only dance I know is in UNESCO list is Tesquin, because it's very, very going to be as a dance that is going to disappear. But there are hundreds and hundreds of dance that has been recognized as professional. So I don't know if it's like a foundation or observatoire, you know, of traditional dances, but I start to work on this solution, even if I'm not the Ministry of Art. Thank you.
Merci. Brahim, your turn. Allô, Brahim, are you still here? I think, yes. You're muted. Brahim, ton micro est fermé.
I'm sorry, it was muted. Yeah. I'm sorry. So if you allow me, I'm going to mention 3 or 4 points. One linked to investment. I think public-private partnership can be developed to mobilize additional resources and expertise to support growth and innovation in this sector. Furthermore, financial incentives such as guarantee tax credits or specific support funds can be established to encourage investment in the CCIs. And the second one, I already talked about it, but training is very important. Training and education, progress in the ACC field. This can be done by closely collaboration with the cultural business to identify necessary skills and adopting educational program accordingly. Higher education and institution can also establish partnership and monitoring program in partnership with the sector actors to provide students with practical experiences and a deep understanding of the challenges and opportunities in the cultural field. The third one, my colleague Maya and Chaymaa already talked about it, is upgrading is linked to the infrastructure. Probably in some places like here in Morocco, we have infrastructure. Of course, never enough, but upgrading culture infrastructure is very important. This might include renovating and modernizing and existing cultural facilities and building new cultural space in underserved area. For example, public authority can also encourage public and private partnership for the development and management of culture infrastructure, ensuring that these places are accessible to the artists and of course to the audience, regardless of their socioeconomic background. Perhaps because sometimes we have infrastructure, but sometimes they are closed. So probably it's very important to this partnership with the companies, with independent companies, with the artists, with collective, like what do, for example, Leila, if you don't have a space for training or to mobilize artists to join you, of course it's very, very difficult, and it's a big part also of the budget of the company. So it's very important to have these infrastructures. Sometimes they are closed, so this partnership with the public and the private sector is very important. And I think it's very also important to invest, which is usually very difficult, invest in the artistic content, which is often a risk taken by artists or the companies. So this part very, very difficult sometimes to find who wanna invest with you in the artistic project. You can sometimes find some support to find a place to work sometimes, but usually it's very difficult to find money to invest in your artistic project. So these are some ideas. Of course, I can add something, ideas linked to the heritage and etc. But this is some few points I suggest.
Thank you so much, Brahim. Thank you. It's really interesting that there is this discussion about infrastructure, because the infrastructure is what you need to start part of the production value chain. And we're tackling here, from what I understand, if I summarize, there is the two issues: to financial support to the infrastructure, the upgrade or the update of the infrastructure, but also I think there is one other factor. It's the visibility of the infrastructure. I wanted also to share with you one thing. We work on it with the CFW, but from the perspective of access to finance. We realized that infrastructure, those spaces, need to diversify business model to have more or a different income stream. And then we came up, I'm sharing it in the chat. A platform is called the Art and Stay, which is basically the Airbnb for art and creative infrastructure, so that it becomes visible for its user, but is also for its customer, someone who is moving from place to another, someone who is organizing something somewhere, who needs a space. So the art and stay is one also of the mechanism we developed with CFW, but it's funny how it joins what you're saying, but we were looking at it from another perspective. We're looking at it from creating revenue, additional revenue to help sustain art spaces. So next in the line, Chaymaa, floor yours.
I think they all said it all. I mean, the idea of Maya.
I think I missed someone. I mean, someone has not spoke yet. It's May. Sorry, you spoke already on this point, Chaymaa, no? When as a minister of the word, did you spoke as a minister of the word?
No.
Then speak as a minister of the word.
I mean, as May said it very well, and Leila, and also Brahim, the speaking about infrastructure, yes, this is what our concern every day and on daily basis, and it's a big dream. But really, what concerns us as a very small space in the contemporary visual art in Egypt and also in Alexandria, I also speak a lot, May, about decentralization and us as a city, because the focus on us as a city is less on, like in Cairo, is again this idea of capacity building and how to bring institutions like universities coming to partner with the private sector and coming to partner with actors as individual actors, just to produce everyday production that is linked to the local market needs, but also linked to the international market needs. And here I say I'm always very upset and jealous as an Egyptian that Egypt is not at all on the international market map of visual art, of contemporary visual art. And not because that we don't have talents, we have amazing talents every day. And really, I can't speak enough about all the artists that we work with. But again, we don't have this mechanism of state support or patroning. In French, it has a better word, this mécénat that comes from the state that allows these young talents to have internationalization and access to the international market and the local market. I would love to see museums in Egypt. I mean, now we have the chance to have the new Grand Museum that I believe it will have an amazing role, but we have other very historic museums in Egypt. They need to play a little bit of an upgrade role, as Ibrahim said, or a contemporary role of seeing partnerships differently. So I see it coming. I think now, this year especially, I see a lot of improvement and a lot of very good things happening in my country. But I would wish still to see these big giants and really static infrastructures that we have, because we do have the infrastructure. There is a very nice, we do. If you read one of CREACT4MED research policy about Egypt, you have 2,222 art space that belongs to the policy, to the public, and they are palaces. But as Ibrahim said, they are extremely on a very bad use. The spaces we have in the country are amazing. But again, the bureaucracy and how to access this place, I know it was really, I used to do a festival in a public space, and I know how hard it is. So I think now the mentality is a little bit changing, and there is this eagerness to collaborate with the private sector. Again, we started to have summits like my summit that is speaking up about the potential, and there are some things moving, but because I'm a person that believes in education, so I see the capacity building of the young talents is extremely important. So yeah, go ahead, Jamal.
Thank you so much, May. You were waiting. Yalla, go ahead.
Because in Cairo, they have a lot of challenges. We don't have these challenges.
Yes, that's so true. Okay, so I'm just gonna build on what everyone said, because I think everyone touched on something very important. We do have the spaces, but we cannot use them, and I will stop there. But having said that, if I were the minister of the world, I would put the CCIs as a priority and a mandate in education, so capacity building, building the new generation, putting it in curriculums, putting it in unis, putting it in all over education, as in everywhere you can put it or force it or embed it or in any way you want to say it, but it would be massive when it comes to education. I would definitely build associations and back to the infrastructure again. So I think those three things would help develop the economy, develop the human, and connect everyone together. In a nutshell. And yes, we have amazing spaces, and unfortunately, we don't use.
Thank you very much. Now, the next question is we go back again the same round. Leila, can you share with us regarding one of the point or the problems we've been talking about here, one good practice you saw it somewhere? We'd say, okay, regarding of that disenabler, I've seen this and I think it's a good thing to be replicated or it's a good thing to share.
Yes, I can take the example that we took when you don't have any fundings, you don't have any space, you don't have any visibility. Well, we used the social medias. So we created a virtual space to express our art. So that costs less than a real place, but at least some very good videos, pictures, and time to explain what we do. And to be honest, that helped us a lot because we started with YouTube and we had millions of views from all over the world, from people from MENA region, but also from Europe, from the USA. And then when it's done, it's important, I think, to extend our capacities and our skills, because we don't became only dancers or choreographers. We are also involved in transmission, so dance workshops and conferences. That means that we dance, but we talk also. So talking about, like we do today, our barriers, our talents, what we aim to be or to develop all over the world was very important. And especially during coronavirus, it was very difficult because we didn't have any space to express anymore. And finally, we talked about our dances and our arts and our cultures in English through online conferences, and we gave online dance classes, and it was a big success because we had students from more than 100 countries that who still follow us. And yes, the network really opened a lot of all we can do and capacities for us. So I think it's a big tool that we have to develop for all cultural actors, especially from our regions, from North Africa and Middle East, and that we have to train people and to help them to have access to those tools that are like mandatory for this generation. And it's like, as I always say, moving the unmaterial skills and culture to something digital directly, including transmission.
Brahim, please.
Thank you. Probably I will if you accept, I will probably talk about my experience increasing awareness and increased engagement. For example, public and authorities, private foundation are becoming aware in investing more in the culture sector. For example, in regarding visa for music, for example, festival, it's not only provides a visibility platform for artists, but also engage in preparing the audience to appreciate a wider culture diversity. This is realized through, for example, the professional fair stands, etc., and conferences that are open to the general public. Additionally, the festival plays a crucial role in training cultural industry professionals, especially a young professional, by providing them with tools to thrive in an what's the in global in the global culture environment. This is due through theoretical and practical intensive workshops and training. I think it's very important this part. And every year we have hundreds of youth, especially women, who apply to join the applications. And I can also give another public experience is that I think another very interesting idea is that, for example, in Morocco, the subsidies given each year by the Ministry of Culture to the production, particularly in the performing arts but also in visual arts, are very, very interesting. It started a few years ago. Now we have, for example, per sector, for example, to the theater and music, etc., $1 million every year by application. I think, of course, we need more, but it start by this. This is one of the. It helps, or it's a kind of investment on the production, which is very, very interesting. Thank you.
Chaymaa.
Ouafa, do you mean a good practice from our companies, or in general to remove the barrier that we talked about?
To remove the barrier, it could be example you did yourself, or you would see some good practice from somewhere else, or another entity, or another actor, whether it's in the Egyptian or in the region ecosystem.
So, in order to overcome what we faced at the beginning, is that to find really young talents who are definitely within understanding the creative industry and the art production. Our cycle actually is an accepting artist is to put them in a cycle of 4 phases. The first phase is research and conceptualization, pre-production, production, and post-production. And it takes us 2 years to work with one single artist. That's why I spoke about that we were very happy endorsing the slowly cooked programming in the arts, in the visual art. If I need to dream big, I would definitely quote an amazing practice that is because of my education in the USA. In every university in the USA of fine arts, every university has an art space that is linked to the university. And the role of this art center is actually to engage the alumni and the students while studying in the local art market needs and the international art market needs. So they have 4 years while in the education, and they have 2 extended 2 years after graduating being linked to this art center. In Cairo, we have the similar experience with the American University. In NYU in Abu Dhabi, they created the same thing. So my wish is that, again, local universities in Egypt would do it this way, even if by accompanying it with the private sector, and it will bring amazing results. So I would really wish we have this in Egypt, but also, again, with very privatized university, and this goes to very privileged amount of students. And the privileged students in the arts, they do not really represent the whole Egyptian community. And I love, Leila, what you're saying about the Amazigh language. I mean, inclusive programming is one of the hardest things we can do in Egypt. It's huge in Egypt. We have so much communities to represent, and somehow we cannot even find these people or find who's interested in these people. So this is my dream, actually, that local universities or public universities will do the similar thing, and it's working really well in the US, and recently in France they are doing similar activities. So, and it's giving beautiful outcomes, actually.
Chaymaa, sorry, May, it's your turn.
Hi. So yes, education, infrastructure. But if I am to dream, I would, or if I may use a best practice example, I would use the city of Eindhoven in Amsterdam, a city that was initially industrial, closed, no one is allowed in. And it was like the city of Sony, where only the workers of Sony lived and worked with factories. And right now, the city of Eindhoven is the home of Dutch Design Week. And the beautiful thing about Dutch Design Week is that it's not a week for design like Milano Design Week or any other design week. It's actually a week dedicated to design thinking and how design thinking can change the world from different perspectives. So it's not about a piece of furniture, it's about the thinking. If that entails a furniture or a dance or a move or an act or a play, then let's talk about it. It talks about changing the future through art and design, and transforming a city from being so bleak and closed on itself to something open to the world where everyone travels from the world to go. This is a best practice I would love to see happening here, where we transform thinking, stereotypes and brains to more design thinking, more futuristic thinking, and basically connecting and fostering art.
It's really interesting. If I summarize what you've been, the different reforms, what Brahim, you were saying is music to my ear, because you're actually making publicity for me, like working on private foundation and educating, like we call it investor and funder education. And that's a lot of work. It's actually huge. You have no idea how huge is the misknowledge about financing the sector from banks, from philanthropies, from private foundations. And the thing is, it's in some ecosystems, I'm not talking about the Egyptian because it's a little bit developed, but if you say, I take really like this classical North Africa, Tunisia, Algeria, for example, Libya, that community of local foundation or local philanthropies institution, whether they are linked to individual wealthy people or to companies, we are first not on their radar, but they don't know each other. So my work is extremely hard in those ecosystems, because we're actually now doing a study on private sector foundations in Tunisia. And one of the main first findings, and it was surprising, that they don't even know each other. Like as professional, like you're head of a big, I'm not going to necessarily put names, but a big private sector, big name multinational company, they're funding everything and so many things, including the art. But when at the end of the interview with the head of that program is, do you know, can you put me in contact in your peers in other private sector company? No. And I was saying, do you know that company has one? He said, oh, really? I would like to get in touch with them. So it's like we are facing, I think, based on the ecosystem, a double barriers. One, the philanthropy or the funding or the investment itself, they are not yet together when it comes to those who are supporting the art. So they don't have coordination spaces. They don't have those, collaboration, peer learning for their experience of working with the cultural creative industries when they exist. And when they don't exist, they have this aversion or this like rejection or misperception about the art being not bankable, not sustainable, not whatever, because they're applying the wrong measures and indicators. So that's very well said, Brahim. It's really important. In the capacity building and the training, of course, Chaymaa, also you touch it into talent identification and work. This is a fundamental, and I think you're absolutely right in saying a lot of work to be done in there. But I think also, and you said it, Chaymaa, and even May too, about this working with the different stakeholder, the synergy between the different institution, building capacities. And I agree. I mean, we have this. I think in many cases it comes down to mentality at the level of the different stakeholder in the ecosystem. Because if you ask yourself why it's really hard so that universities connect with those who provide technical trainings or vocational training or independent sector. Of course, the bureaucracy, that's we know. But I think part of the problem is this mentality of we are in competition. So that's a lot of education to be done among the stakeholders themselves. And again, because I have a déformation professionnelle, because I look at everything from the funding and the financial side, because it's a layer to be, I'm not saying it's the only layer to be used to analyze the situation, but one important and usually quickly disqualified, oh, what's the funding? Okay, who's funding? No, if I look at it from here, and you're gonna see how vicious is this. Because when we have an ecosystem that depends on mainly grants, that works with very few investment and support mechanism, that's de facto puts everybody in competition. Because we're all depending from the same fund or financial source and mechanisms. So by de facto, the financial strategies and mechanisms that exist in an ecosystem could be an enabler or a disabler, just by seeing what are the mechanisms put in place. I go back to the young lady earlier talking from Palestine and saying, okay, for the funder, they don't see us. There is nowhere that they say, yeah, build the social enterprises, and then they're not eligible for grants. I would agree with you in that sense, but I may question that and saying you may be looking in the wrong support mechanism, because there are so many other mechanisms like financial support for social enterprise, but not the usual channel, because you go where you know. And that's also another problem for access to information. So thank you very much for bringing this. If there is anyone in the public who wants to add to that or to object to whatever we're saying, or who want to fire us as ministers of the world because we suck, we're okay with that. We're in democracies. Well, I question the word democracy, seeing what's happening today in the world. I take this back. I like dictatorships. Okay, next. Who anyone wants to join? Any comment from the speakers? Anything you want to add? You're most welcome.
Personally, I just want to say thank you, because I think everyone, even yourself, Ouafa, honestly, thank you for everything you said. You guys touched on it brilliantly. So thank you for this opportunity and for connecting us together.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for CREACT4MED team to put all this together. It's amazing. So I think I will have to wrap up. Thank you so much, Brahim, for your time. May, Chaymaa, Leila. So it's amazing. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you, CREACT4MED team. And thank you for everyone joining here and attending. We appreciate your attention and your time, and hope to see you all again somewhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Ouafa.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Hi, everybody. For people who are still there, we will have the closing at 1 o'clock since we're a little bit ahead of time. So go to the networking space or head to a table, go and connect with somebody who's on the calls, and we'll be back at 1 for the closing with Maria. Bye.